is Mr. Josh Warner with advice to underclassmen.
If you took a look at my transcript, you would not necessarily classify me as an exemplary student. Although I've been accepted to my #1 university and I'm graduating with an 88 average, I failed classes like math and science quarter after quarter. I also consistently come to school late and hand things in later. The path I'm on has often been described to me as the easy road, and I constantly get advice against it. Now, hearing this, your reaction is probably to brace yourself for another delinquent to honor student speech or a cautionary tale against the bad decisions I made in school. But fear not, because I'm not actually here to caution against my lifestyle. I'm here to advocate it. The easy road has negative connotations, but it shouldn't, because it doesn't require ignoring one's responsibilities. It simply means knowing the difference between your actual responsibilities and ones you don't necessarily have to fulfill. It's about specializing your education to your personality and goals. We don't need education reform to achieve real, tangible, personalized education, or, rather, it would require so much time and effort that it wouldn't really be worth it. You can do this for yourself, while sliding relatively under the radar. You deserve the freedom to focus on the things that matter most to you, without wasting time on the extra stuff. So, of course, I have a few tips to get you started. The first thing you need to do is establish a goal. Whatever your aspirations are after high school, you need to recognize your goal and focus on it. Always keep it in the back of your mind and reference it constantly when deciding whether something is worth doing or not. Second, students always seem to have a cloud of vague yet dogmatic requirements hanging over our heads. One constantly replaces the other, from PSATs to kneecaps to SATs to the most infamous among these, the portfolio. The final portfolio is due on April 17th. That means every other due date up until then is technically irrelevant. Don't stress yourself out with each checkpoint revision. Just don't pass it in until it's completely necessary. Because, in the end, the portfolio is not about making us more well-rounded people, and it's certainly not about building our resume. It's there for one reason, to standardize us. It's there to make sure, however inaccurately, that we all have the same basic set of knowledge leaving SHS. And I do mean basic. There is one secret no one will tell you about the portfolio. It's super easy. As long as you save half the common tasks you do throughout high school, you'll be able to knock it out in one weekend. Which leads me to my next point. Why so many due dates? Well, that's a simple answer. It's very hard to grade 200 portfolios at once. The powers that be need a buffer, a dragnet of sorts. They need to weed out the kids that will be unquestioningly compliant to their requirements, so there are fewer portfolios to grade by the end of the process. However, by the same token, their whole strategy is focused on conserving effort, and they're not about to waste time tracking you down. And don't feel bad. They get paid a lot more to grade your portfolio than you do to assemble it. The same principle applies to most aspects of your school day, including disciplinary matters. If you do something fairly unremarkable, such as show up late to school a handful of times, you usually only have an official-sounding policy to fear. Well, here's another secret. Policies are designed to fail and change. We have people employed by the Department of Education whose sole purpose is to brainstorm ideas in order to fix numerous aspects of school. The obvious problem with this system is that once people come up with an idea that actually works, they no longer have a job. That's why our graduation requirements seem to change every single year, even though they're supposed to stay constant. That's why we already know the name of the test that's replacing the test that's replacing kneecaps next year. That's why the school's lateness policy changes every 3 months, and that's why if you wait long enough, you'll be absolved of your guilt. Each policy change opens up 1,000 ways to exploit it. Remember, these tips are not meant to anger every adult in the school simply to that end. They're designed to take your focus off making other people's lives easier and help you focus on the more important next steps in your life. Speaking of which, colleges don't want students who demonstrate the ability to follow every order received in high school to the letter. In fact, they want the exact opposite. They're looking for kids who can honestly say that they know what they want and they have shaped their high school experience around it. They want critical thinkers who question and analyze their environment instead of blindly accepting it. And the worst part is, no one is honest with us, because this fact is a thorn in the sides of most of our educators. How easy it would be to tell kids that the most generic path is the only one to college. Then, instead of personalizing each child's education, they can copy and paste one onto another. But my purpose in standing before you today is not to create controversy or to bash those who work hard in providing our education. It's only natural to want to make your own life easier. But that is exactly the point of my speech. Make your own life easier. Don't let others force you to walk down their trail.